I was watching the Rahul Gandhi interview, and at one point he goes, "अरे राहुल जी, ये जूते आपके बहुत अच्छे हैं. कहाँ से लिए आपने?"
You asked him like, "Do you drink? How much do you drink?" He's asking about alcohol to an Indian politician. I mean, it's just unthinkable. Even I was like afraid for Sandish for a moment. I was like, oh.
He has asked some absurd questions to people, and like you can see the confusion on the guest face. Ki, bro, are you really asking me this? And he'll be like, "नहीं, मेरे को जानना है. आप बताओ मेरे को."
Dheer Mishra called it out. He said, like, you're very insightful, you're very intelligent. You may not look like one, but you are. And what is something that you don't like about Sandish?
Hello. Welcome back, everyone, to yet another episode of the Creator Deep Dive. We have a new co-host today, Shubham. He's our community manager. He also runs the masterclass and the fireside chat for TFC. Definitely, we'll put some links. Check that out. But cool, Shubham, who are we talking about today?
We are talking about Samdish Bhatia.
Correct. We're talking about Samdish Bhatia.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And,
like how long have you been following him?
well, I guess it's been 3 years, around 3 years, I guess. I mean, I first watched his ScoopWhoop town halls, and I saw
Uh-huh.
him there, interacting with these movie stars. And I guess from there, I started to notice his work.
Yeah, same. I think his time at ScoopWhoop was particularly influential, right? Especially on like people who saw him for the first time. I definitely saw him for the first time at ScoopWhoop. Yeah, I remember the town halls. Now that you said, uh, so I think there was that episode with Jimmy Shergill, right? Maybe he wasn't the one that co-hosted that. But yeah, those town halls were also like a beautiful concept.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember the Sanjay Mishra one because Sanjay Mishra is an actor that I usually, look forward to his movies,
Hmm.
content, and anything. So, yeah, that was a fun interview. And I mean, the Samdish of that day is very different from Samdish of today. Uh,
Correct,
but yeah, that was a
correct.
good start, I guess.
What do you like about him? So like I wanted to talk to you about this, right? Because I don't really watch movies and I'm not into politics, and I feel like those are the two things that Sandesh is really known for, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I still like him without having the context of movies or politics, right? But I wanted to like talk to you about like liking him and also understanding where he's coming from, like his point of view.
Right. See, let me just say it at the very outset that I met Samdish around March this year, and
Oh,
I thoroughly liked
no
him.
way.
Yeah, and I'm biased, so I'm going to say I like his content. I like his,
Right,
and you're right. I mean, politics and cinema; these are the two things that Indians are just living on.
correct,
So, yeah,
correct.
I mean, his style is very unique because nobody talks that way in a political interview, but he does that. With sitting chief ministers, he's like sitting cross-legged in front of them and saying whatever comes to his head. So it's really unique.
Correct. I was watching the Rahul Gandhi interview, and at one point he goes, "अरे राहुल जी, ये जूते आपके बहुत अच्छे हैं. कहाँ से लिए आपने? कौन लेता है आपके लिए जूते?" And I was like, "Bro, what man? You're asking
Yeah.
Rahul Gandhi about his shoes."
And somehow
Yeah,
people fall for his requests when he asked Rahul Gandhi to show his shoes. Rahul Gandhi stopped his yatra, and he
yeah,
was just showing his shoes to him. So I don't know, I mean,
correct.
I think that's the trick Sandesh plays on his guests, that his style is so funny and so over the top that other people, they tend to over explain sometimes. They think like, this guy is
Hmm.
not very serious, so let me be serious one. So that's how the comedy comes out. When you're being too serious, you say stuff, you over explain things. So yeah.
No, that's an interesting take. Like I feel like he breaks so many of those glass walls that usually interviewers have, right? Like if I was talking to a chief minister, I would be very like conservative and be very cautious of,
Yes.
are
Yeah.
he's a chief minister, he does not do anything like that. He's the same with every single person. He has asked some absurd questions to people, and like you can see the confusion on the guest face ki, bro, are you really asking me this? And he'll be like, nahi, mere ko janna hai, aap batao mere ko. So I think that
Right.
is like a very unique perspective that you don't really
Yeah.
see in interviews.
Yeah. And it it reminds me of Ali G, the character played by Sasha Baron Cohen.
Oh, yes, correct.
Yeah, he used to ask, these politically incorrect questions, and asking anything, and very, very, very over the top again, so manner. So it reminds me of, that character, because I feel Samdish is not playing a character. He's like that in real life. Not
Correct,
maybe that over the top, because we all
correct.
are, a bit, over the top in front of cameras, but that's his core, I guess. What's your take on Samdish's style?
Yeah, yeah. Uh, so I really like it, yeah, because I feel like from looking at it from like a broader content point of view, right? I think if you're able to get people who are not interested in a certain niche, um, if you're able to capture their attention, that's the best, right? Like you're talking about, let's say, politics to people who don't care about politics at all. Like for me, for instance, right? And he's still able to capture my attention. And what I love about it is his like how raw he is, right? Like I was watching the Rahul Gandhi interview, and at one point, the camera pans to him, and he's sitting in a truck, and he's wearing that towel on his head, right? And like such a very quintessential Indian feel that you get out of it, right? Like his hair, his beard. I don't know if it's that on purpose. It feels like he's been that way since the beginning. But I think it's that raw, authentic feel that you get from him, which is so unique that you can't like. You're like, hey, bro, मेरे को देखना है. Like, I want to see what he's doing. I remember watching his interview, what he did for. I think he got a little backlash for this for the Kolkata rally. Something he went, right, West Bengal.
Yeah,
He went to
in Goa. Yeah,
villages and he did something.
right.
So I didn't understand it. I don't have like the political context, but like just the conversation that he was having. I remember he was talking to like a shopkeeper, right? Like this lady, he was asking her questions, but like, "Arey, something happened now. Do you know? And do you understand what's happening? Something." And I was like, "Ki, I will never find this type of content anywhere, right?
Right.
Because there is no filter. Like he does not. It seems like he does not have like a an end goal in mind. Like he's just
Hmm.
like, I want to go on the ground and I want to tell you what's happening, which I it's very refreshing. That's what I love about him.
Yeah, that's very interesting point. Like not having an end goal. But I guess his entire game is about having fun. With the people who you can't have fun,
Right,
right? So that's the kind of Hollywood
right.
pitch he has given to all of us. And I mean, look at the interviews. He has interviewed politicians, filmmakers, writers, and these actors, of course, and of course the common man, right? He goes and does the ground reporting on his new channel on ground. So and he's same with everyone. He may be intimidated by
Correct.
one or two characters who are like very strong characters, but overall he's like the same with he's like when he spoke with Sudhir Mishra, the filmmaker, he was very insightful, very
Mm-hmm.
deep, but his style was still the same.
Right.
So that's also
Yeah.
something that he does.
No, no, so true. So as creators ourselves, right, as hosts to like podcasts and as people who ask questions for a living, I feel like there's a lot to learn from Samdish, right?
Yeah,
Because I think being able to bring that personality out in his questions and in his interviews, he's able to add that flavor to it, right? So it's not just about getting the answer, it's also about like the journey that you take to get the answer,
right.
right? Like one of my favorite interviews that I've seen of him is who's the actor Pawa?
Manoj
Manish Pawa?
Pawar.
No, um, Manoj Pawa.
Yeah,
Correct. But like just the whole interview was like they start off with I love the like the behind the scenes clips of him like यार खाने को कुछ है क्या यार थोड़ा sandwich लेके आजा like and all of it is so authentic, right? It makes me feel like कि हाँ भाई मैं हूँ उधर and I'm getting to see a side of these people that you don't get to see otherwise. And now that I think of it, an interesting parallel that I would draw is to Sean Evans from First We Feast. But it's a little different because Sean
yeah,
Evans uses like eating spicy food as his way to break down barriers, and Samdish uses his personality and like his nature of his questions as a way to be like, "Ki, this is not serious, yeah, just chill." So like
yeah,
they talk about drinking, they talk about food, they talk about like his experience in acting, in
yeah.
theater, drama.
Good point.
And Sandish seems to have like a massive, so much knowledge about these things, right? Because he's
Yeah,
so passionate about it.
exactly my
Um,
point. he's very insightful when he needs to be. And that's his trick. Sudhir Mishra called it out. He said, like, you're very insightful, you're very intelligent. You may not look like one, but you are. And that's, and he's unafraid, I guess. That's another aspect of his personality.
Right.
He's
Yes.
asked a
Yeah.
sitting chief minister, sitting chief minister of Chhattisgarh, if I'm not wrong. He asked him, like, do you drink? How much do you drink? He's
Hmm.
asking about alcohol to an Indian politician. I mean, it's just unthinkable. Even I was like afraid for, Sandesh for a moment. I was like, oh, so that's amazing.
And the interesting thing is people answer, like people are okay with answering,
Yeah.
right? I mean, most of his interviews seem to be uncut, right? For the most part. I'm sure there are some parts that they remove, but people are okay with answering those questions. And like, even when they know he's going to ask them, they're okay with like, he asked that Rahul Gandhi interview, he asked some insane questions, man. He was like, some Italy references he had. He asked, he like, "Acha jute BJP फेंकती है क्या आप पे?" He's like, "No, no, no." And like,
Right.
everything that you can possibly think of, right? Like all meme references, all jokes that you make on any politician, on anyone, like he addresses them head on,
Yeah.
which again speaks to like his insightfulness, like you said, and authenticity.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I think he has perfectly captured the essence of what he likes to do in like the two series that he did, right, with ScoopWhoop Unscripted, and now
Yeah.
again Unfiltered,
Yeah.
right? Like perfect, like unscripted, unfiltered. They perfectly captured, and the impact is, I think, immediate. Unfiltered. So I was just looking at some back of the hand numbers. He's done about 30 interviews on Unfiltered.
Okay.
It's less than a year old, and it already has 31 million views, and all of these are long form interviews,
Yeah.
which I think really
Amazing.
shows how good his art is.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking about Scoop Whoop and his time at Scoop Whoop and the way he moved on, I mean, Samdish's body language, I mean, it plays such a huge role. He's like, running around, he's, sitting cross-legged, doing this, doing that. So, I mean, he's perfect for, visual medium. He may not work,
Right.
when it
Oh,
comes
that's an
to,
interesting point.
podcasts. That's why I guess he doesn't do podcasts, because that way he can't express himself the way he does.
That's a very interesting point. Yeah, that's so true. Like his way of expression is also through like physical body language and also the questions he asks. That's very interesting.
What is something that you don't like about Sandesh?
Uh, I feel like I don't have enough context into his content to make that decision, to like comment on it. Right?
Mhm.
Like I feel uh, my image of Samdish is from his personality. Like I like his content because of his personality. I don't like his content because of what he's talking about because I don't get it.
Right.
I'm not into politics. I'm not into movies. Right? So upper se I know like that Manoj Pava interview. I was like, oh, I've seen that guy. I want to watch that interview, and I watched it because obviously there were some insightful things, but for the most part, I enjoyed that conversation. So as of yet, I don't really have anything that I don't like. He's
Hmm.
like a cool guy. He seems to have these interesting conversations with people that like he's my foray into these two domains that I don't like. Right. So he's kind of like my stepping stone into those two areas. But what about you? Is there anything that you don't like about him?
I mean, something, sometimes in a conversation, you have to dilate your tone, and based on the question. Sometimes I feel that Sandesh maintains a very singular focused tone, which he should dilate a bit sometimes, because he asks some of the best questions I come across in interviews. But sometimes his tone defeats the purpose of that question, and it happens like very,
Right.
I mean, let's say 20% of the times. But I notice that, and I feel like, okay, that was a point where he should have you know been a bit more sincere. I mean, to use a very cliched word.
But do you think that's also one of his unique selling points? Like the fact that he balances between like really serious questions in like a very unserious way or a casual way? Because
Hmm.
like if he starts doing that, then maybe he becomes like the normal interviewers that we come across, right? And like maybe we don't like it, but that's the thing about him, that he does these things in such a radically different way, that's what overall makes him so good at what he does.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I mean, I agree with it. And the guy is not even, he does not even belong to Gen Z. And he's creating content for all kinds of people. He's speaking with everyone, from
Correct.
villages to cities to politicians and people. I'm sure everyone's watching. Although, I mean, YouTube is dominated by male audience, but I guess he's getting attention by everyone, of everyone. Yeah.
Cool. We'll wrap it up here.
Okay.
Thank you so much for staying with us, everyone. This was the Creator Deep Dive. I'll add some links to our previous episodes and some of the other podcasts, the masterclass and the fireside chat that Shubham also hosts, which is wonderful. Definitely check them out. Subscribe to our Thousand Faces Club. If you like this video, we upload every week on Thursday, and I shall see you the next one. Peace.
Thank you.